every decade of my life, history has surged forward in so many mighty waves that constantly challenge my comprehension and commitment. It's rushed onward with speed and scale unimaginable to our ancestors, making me feel as if I have lived epochs in a matter of decades. It's brought some victories, but many defeats for the cause to which I've devoted my life. In my early years on the left, I was buoyed up by a rising tide. When that tide receded, I was more truly tested. Many fell by the wayside, but those who persisted made it possible for this great, complex, and sometimes crazy movement to continue, even in the hardest times, even when we could not prevail. We stood against such formidable forces. We had truth and justice on our side, yet we lost so many battles to those aligned with deceit and oppression.
I felt uplifting because I'm very much in the struggle continues mode, you know. My partner just recently died, and I was struggling to keep all my existing commitments. I just know what he would say to me, you know, do it. I never questioned whether I would or not, to be honest. It just was the struggle continues, you know, and the invitation was to talk about all the things that we both cared about. So, no, there was no question about it. We had our May Day celebration the other day, which was very inspiring, but the numbers are smaller than they need to be. And I was thinking as I went home from May Day, you know, the trade union banners, the social afterwards, all the songs of class struggle, the tribute, of course, to my partner, who is a giant of the Irish left and trade union movement. So it was a very moving experience. I was in Liberty Hall, you know, having a few drinks and talking, listening to the songs. And I thought, oh, how many decades have I been here? And this has been, you know, my predominant subculture. I move in other circles. I'm a professor. I move in academic circles too. But this is my predominant subculture, this. And I was thinking, how long will this survive? You know, this proletarian education, this class-conscious subculture, you know, the banners, the songs, the solidarity. What I was talking about there about, you know, the lack of meaning in contemporary society, the lack of purpose, the lack of commitment. I'm deeply, deeply worried. Even in universities, university students aren't reading. University professors aren't reading. I mean, books, they don't even understand books anymore. There are all these little bitty articles with, like, you know, a dozen authors, some of whom not only haven't written the article, they haven't even read it, but they're just advancing their careers through it. I can't separate reason from emotion. To me, they're in harmony. If I believe in something strongly, I feel, you know, passionately about it. It's just the way it is. There's nothing like Marxism there. There's nothing. Okay, there are the world religions, which are clinging on. A lot of people are clinging on without really believing in them anymore. But there are some people still believe in them. But, like, they don't have the empirical groundedness that we have. They're coherent, they're comprehensive. But our theory is coherent, it's comprehensive, and it's also grounded. And there's nothing like this. There is nothing on the horizon that's remotely like Marxism. We have so much to offer. In fact, we have everything to offer. That's the truth of it. But we have to convince a lot more people for it to happen. Yeah. There's the whole thing, like, we're really strong on our analysis of the way things are now. And we also have a very credible vision about the better world that we envisage. But how to get from here to there. Because for a long time we've been in the grip of this idea of the October Revolution. Of course, I think it's maybe the most important event in the history of the world, but, you know, it's not going to happen again. And, like, a lot of the imagination of the left has been this massive insurrection. We have capitalism one day, the workers would suddenly see through it, take over everything, take over the factory, take over the state, take over, the means of production, and then we have socialism. But that isn't going to happen. And also, capitalism is a different thing. It's a much more complex thing. I mean, the miners, at a certain period of history could go seize the mine. But, what do you seize now? How do you seize it? How do you... It's not even... All the power isn't even in the state, necessarily. Those states important. But, we have to really say, how do you expropriate the expropriators in contemporary capitalism? How do we get from here to there? And, without a lot of facile slogans about reformism. I think we need to reform our way to revolution. I think we do have to stand for elections. We have to try to have left governments under capitalism to the extent that they're possible. This long march to the institutions of the society, the universities, the trade unions, the mass media. Mass media is extremely important. And use social media. Every lever we have to use. But we need much more careful thinking. How do we get from here to there? Maybe just more of what you're already doing. A program that's attractive. Maybe use social media more. Yeah, try to gather them in. I think there's a great atmosphere here. Really fantastic atmosphere. Because this is attractive. We have to be proud of that history and put that before them. This whole cradle to grave subculture that existed in the Second International. Tell a story, I've told that to students and they say, wow, the trade union movement is much stronger in Europe. And it's one of the things that struck me when I first came to Ireland, 50-something years ago, is how much more a part of Irish society the trade union movement is, and the left is. And this is true in many places. It's even more true in some places in Europe than it is here. It's capitalism is the problem, but yeah, and socialism is the solution. So many particular problems boil down to exactly this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a slogan that, people shout in the streets, but it's an analysis. I mean, the distribution of wealth under capitalism is obscene. I mean, people that own shares and never get out of bed, earn more in a day of not working than a hard-working person in a factory or a hospital earns in their lifetime. It's absolutely obscene and inefficient. We need to tell children this. They don't have to read 4 volumes of Das Kapital. Just, make them think, who made their clothes? Who built the buildings? When they go, if they're sick, who's staffing the hospital? We need many more thinkers like Marx, because not everything is there in the classic texts. We need to think about today, particularly the complex nature of capitalism, the lack of meaning in contemporary culture. We need people to do all that. But we need many intellectuals and a movement